All right. Marco Nessi,
Here.
Senator Robert Ort, don't think he's on yet. Assemblyman Angelo Morinello,
Present.
Mayor Robert Rustino,
Here.
William Ross,
Here.
Paul Brown,
Here.
Andrea Kleisek. Here.
Thank you. Introduction of guests. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Karen Quadrants from Niagara University.
Christopher Sheffield from Niagara University.
Great. Are you a guest here, Jeremy?
I don't know what I am here.
I don't know what I am.
You're only down that end of the table, that's what.
We also have Mark Gabriel on the phone, Agency Council.
Been prior to get
Good
down
morning,
here,
Mark.
but-
There he is.
All right, meeting minutes from July 22nd. I've had an opportunity to go through those. Has anybody else any questions or issues with them? I need a motion to approve.
Motion.
Brown, Mornell, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Let's see, any unfinished business? Okay, Jeremy, Main Street?
Thank you, sir. The City of Niagara Falls, in collaboration with New York State, the County of Niagara, and Niagara Orleans Land Bank, is seeking to secure funding for the acquisition of several properties along Main Street, previously known as the Blue Cardinal properties. These properties are currently in bank foreclosure, and the objective is to leverage this opportunity to enhance the urban landscape of our city for residents and guests alike. Additionally, they are focusing on the Rapids Theater, which is located at 1711 Main Street, which is also under bank foreclosure. This historic venue is a vital part of our cultural heritage, and the goal is to restore this historic theater, preserving its legacy while enhancing its potential as a cultural hub and a premier destination for both residents and tourists. The Niagara Falls Urban Renewal Agency has reached agreements with financial institutions and various New York State agencies. The strategy is to avoid sole property ownership, which has been a challenge that has historically impeded development. By working collaboratively, they can better control and market these properties to attract investment and foster revitalization. The reimagination of Main Street and the properties aims to create a vibrant, pedestrian-friendly environment that caters to the needs of both residents and visitors. The vision is a bustling streetscape with diverse retail, dining, and entertainment options that will enhance the overall tourist experience in Niagara Falls. This project is a crucial step forward towards revitalizing North Main Street corridor and preserving the cultural significance of the Rapids Theater. This collaborative project can turn these properties into thriving community assets that foster economic growth and enhance the quality of life in Niagara Falls. The total of this project cost would be $1.74 million, with 11.72% of that being requested in the amount of $204,000. The employment would be approximately 30 jobs based on employment to run and control the Rapids Theater, plus the ancillary jobs that would be created with the retail, dining, and entertainment spaces. The estimated project completion date would be November of 2026.
I've asked representatives from Niagara University, we've kind of been like a traveling troupe with this project. It has a history. The history is really rather simple. It's born out of a desire by residents in the city of Niagara Falls to, and I may have said this to many of you in private conversation. We had university students who've been living in the community, in various neighborhoods throughout the city for as long as I can remember, for my time at Niagara University. And Chris will say this, but I'm going to say that out of them, 95, maybe even more % of the students that live in those houses are good young men and women. However, if you're a young mother, young father who has a 3-year-old who has to go to bed on time, and you happen to live next to, I don't know, a women's rugby team at a great season, there's a likelihood that when they're having a party that starts at 8:30 at night, that not just the rugby team is going to be there, but almost 150 kids will be showing up there. And that party will go on from 8:30 in the evening to who the heck knows how long in the early morning. And it's in those situations that residents have said, enough is enough, we can't deal with this anymore. They've come to City Hall, they asked for some help. What we've done, and it'll be voted on October 2nd, their next council meeting, is a zoning amendment that will take student housing and move it from neighborhoods all throughout the city. Now, because Niagara University has been such a great partner with our administration since we arrived there 5 years ago, immediately when we started kind of thinking about zoning amendments, how's it going to impact our partner? Because our partner needs to be able to recruit students and have housing. And if we're going to remove this piece from their portfolio, what can we provide in return? And then all of a sudden, we were going to foreclose ourselves, the city, for tax reasons on all of these properties. But the two financial institutions had already commenced actions. And so it became easier for us, rather than take upon the responsibility for foreclosure, to simply sit back, have them bear the burden of the legal action, and then directly negotiate with them to acquire the properties. We've achieved an agreement in principle with Bank on Buffalo for Cardinal Properties, and are probably as close as this week to being in agreement with the credit union with regard to the Rapids Theater. Now, the Rapids Theater represents an important piece of the overall picture. And then I'm going to ask Karen and Chris to at least provide you some color to what I'm suggesting. The university has in the past used the Rapids Theater for events and for other occasions. So it's a venue familiar to students at the university. We hope that the Urban Renewal Agency would marshal out the assets that they will acquire in a way that prevents, as the narrative has indicated, one owner waiting for their ship to come in and nothing happening, which is what's gone on for 30 years. We'll be a bit more determined in how we're going to administer the properties. And we're going to expect certain things from those who come in with a plan. And just to give you a sense, and again, I'll turn it over to the two of them, just to give you a sense that there is a population that this is going to, a population need that this is going to fill. So if I could, they've introduced themselves. If you could just give some of that statistical information and that data for the board. Thank you.
Good morning. I've got a brief handout to highlight what we'll do of the project, and I'll walk through some of the detail of this for you. So as Mayor Rustino said, we're very excited to be partnering with the city, really to identify two outcomes. One is to address what we know will be this gap in local rental units for our students who choose to live off campus. Right now, we know we have approximately 160 students in the DeVoe neighborhood alone who would be displaced, right, based on the outcomes of this impending legislation. In total, almost 1,500 students are commuter students, so don't live in residence on campus. So we have a substantial pool of students who would be eligible for this project in the north end of Niagara Falls. And certainly it does extend the university's commitment to be a continued partner on revitalization efforts in Niagara Falls. So we're really excited about this. You know, as the mayor said, we've had longstanding tensions in that neighborhood. And as Vice President for Student Affairs, I experience every day the outcomes of that. The frantic calls from the neighbors, the student conduct issues that arise from that. So we're looking forward to the dual purpose of both eliminating that problematic dynamic in the community and again, helping to be a continued partner on revitalization efforts. So we've been excited, and Karen can fill in some of the detail on this, to be working with local development partners on a project that would see an approximate 100-bed residential facility really focused on Niagara University students in the Bridge District of Niagara Falls. It's an area that has long been of interest to our students, but certainly the pandemic really changed the dynamic. Many of the places that our students would frequent, you know, the bars, the restaurants, coffee shops, simply closed down. Right? And so the idea of this project catalyzing not only student residential facilities, but also corollary and wraparound commercial development is really, really interesting, right? Because our students want to be in the community. At a certain point, juniors and seniors, as they progress through their development, discover that they no longer want to live on campus. They don't want the more intrusive oversight of our residents' life staff, monitoring their behaviors and things along those lines. And developmentally, they're looking for greater independence. So we really see this as a developmental stepping stone for our students as they develop more independence and learn what living on your own begins to feel like. And so I'm really excited about the potential to address those myriad needs through this project. And the developers that we're speaking with right now really do have an impressive vision, not only for what the residential facility can look like, but again, some of those corollary and wraparound commercial developments that would be of interest to our students. They need something to do in the community to bring back that vitality that they once experienced many years ago, but for myriad reasons has simply dried up in recent years. And so very enthused about this project.
And I could just add what Chris started. We've met with at least 5, maybe 6 developers already, and there's great interest. So we've already had one come back with full plans, full ideas, and met with Niagara University about tweaks and things we wanted. We have developers asking to get into the buildings, to look at the buildings, and the ones that are really on top of things know that it's not building a building, then hoping it'll come, that it's a real vision for the whole street. And so those are the ones that we're really excited to get the plans for. And I know that Matt Chavez is working on a developer tour, so that'll be lovely. Niagara University is committed to the city of Niagara Falls, revitalization of the city of Niagara Falls. We have property at 822 Cleveland Avenue that we're still working on getting our earmark for, so we could begin that project. We definitely are enthused about student housing and the option for student housing. And we just think that this is just another piece for not only attracting students to Niagara University. I think it'd be nice for parents to see a vibrant corridor right near our university. When I took my daughter on campus tours, I wanted to know where she was hanging out, where she was going to go for entertainment, and this would be a really good option. So looking forward to meeting with the developers and seeing their plans and moving this forward.
Conceptually, are you looking at one building, sort of like a dormitory concept, but separate apartments?
Yeah, so it's gonna mirror our student housing, the apartments that we have.
Okay.
Yes, there will be some single rooms. There will be a mix.
And university oversight will still be there for these students?
Yes, that's right. It would really mirror our model on campus where we would have on-site student and professional staff. Not in exactly the same way we have it on campus, which is a little bit more intensive, but to have resources there to provide support to our students as some of those needs arise that come up in the life of a student. Right? We have our folks on site there, staffing the building, monitoring for safety, security, things along those lines.
24 hours a day?
24 hours a day.
Is there any better than that?
Yeah.
Is there a target building they're looking at right now, or is that open?
It depends on the builder.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they've all kind of.
They've all looked at a different property.
Which is exciting.
Yeah,
in its
it is.
own right.
It is exciting.
And this is in the vicinity of the church that you have taken,
Yes,
correct? So you've already have a footprint in this particular neighborhood.
absolutely. Like the mayor said, Rabbit's Theater is another, big piece for our students. We see a bookstore to drive people off of the campus to get all their books on an outdoor, off-campus bookstore. So there's other ways to generate excitement in that area.
For those familiar, we're talking about the area of Linwood and Niagara Avenue on Main. It's sort of like the focus area, and developers have sort of pinpointed different buildings. And really, right now, they're looking on the outside. They haven't looked in, but they've pinpointed buildings that they thought made sense from their construction model. I just want to also say that, Dr. Quandrins and Chris are here, but I think that they will underscore this. Father Meyer is all in on this. He's been driving the university's staff to stay engaged with developers to get the project from idea to progress. He made a very good comment very early on, and I think I shared this too with some of you. The idea that we're going to move students out of the neighborhoods His thought was, I wasn't making a nickel on those things anyway. He said, so to the extent that we put students in housing that's managed by the university, makes more sense from us even from an economic standpoint. Our capacity to be able to provide services to students in an urban setting just made sense to the university. Now, what I know is that in order for this to make sense to developers, it has to pencil out as a profit. Developers aren't coming to Niagara Falls as philanthropists to say, well, let's just help Main Street. So where that comes in is we'll be developing in the URA a small committee that will include partners from the county, the land bank, our city team, the university, as well as our state partners, just to evaluate. And we're actually working on evaluation tools right now for an application that comes in, any application for a building. We just need to make sure that, the potential for that building is to get from acquisition to completion, so that we're not dealing anymore with people who are buying buildings and sitting on buildings and doing nothing with buildings. I think our community's had enough of that, right? So the city has already leaned in to the tune of about $1.5 million for acquisition. And so that's why you see our request here today is to complete that gap that I think we'll have. Again, I've been engaged in negotiations directly with both financial institutions since the early part of this year. And so I know when this opportunity came and I had a chance to speak with Andrea about it, this could end up, if approved, creating that last link in the chain for us to be able to complete the acquisition and then start working, obviously, on getting builders, developers, to really acquire properties, make sure that they have a plan that's going to be consistent with the plan that we have for North Main Street, so that this project becomes something more than just another thing to talk about, right? So I want to say too that these kinds of things don't happen. I mean, this could be transformational for North Main Street. And all of you that are familiar with Main Street know that, it's the center of the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. And so, there's this $10 million that's going to be pumped into that location based upon that initiative. But beyond that, there really wasn't much hope because the development that was promised by Blue Cardinal fell significantly short. This is not something, which is what I think is the beauty of it. This is not something that's really sophisticated. I mean, university housing is happening all across the state, in cities all across the New York State. It's happening in places all across the country. What we've never done in the city of Niagara Falls is take advantage of the partnership that we have with Niagara University and their proximity to the city to create this kind of environment. So this thing doesn't come together without everybody leaning in. And I can remember a meeting, Andrea probably was about 2 or 3 months ago in the council chamber. There had to be, almost 24 people in there. They're representing everyone from the university to the city council to the county agencies and state agencies, State Department, all around. And everybody bought in. So that's how these things happen. And they're still committed. So if there's any other questions, we're happy to answer.
Is it my understanding that if it went to a full foreclosure, it would have to go to public auction with these properties, which means another situation of a potential purchaser who will do nothing.
Right.
So this would have the property come to the city, which then can control the development and move it forward without delay, correct?
That's absolutely. We fully anticipate, and what we've done is, the Niagara County Legislature has already approved a resolution. The thing that we can bring to the table that no other entity can bring that bids on these is the ability to look at the taxing priority liens and say, look, we'll take those on. And we'll have the conversations with the water board, with the city, with the school district, and with the county, that once the urban renewal agency gets them, to forgive those taxes so that they're not a burden to the next owner. And the County of Niagara has already seen the wisdom of doing that. We anticipate on October 10th to have that achieved at the school district. And again, likely on the 16th of October, have that achieved at city council meeting. And what that brings, just so that you know, is it's somewhere in the neighborhood across all of the properties collectively, somewhere in the neighborhood of $650,000 in unpaid water, unpaid taxes and water charges. If they went to public auction, all of that would have to be paid by whoever acquired. And that would mean that in the interest of each one of these financial institutions, they would have to have a successful bidder not only bid in the mortgage note that they have, but also the priority liens of taxes. And it's not likely, given the condition of these buildings, that these properties are going to sell at a rate of $2 million, $2.5 million. So I think the two financial institutions also see the wisdom of saying, okay, let's make a deal here. And essentially everybody's cutting their losses.
Another question.
Come on, let's just vote on it. We're voting
No,
for it. Vote on it.
I'll explain later why I'm gonna ask the next question.
What we're voting for, let's just vote for it.
Hold on. Paul, you'll understand.
25 minutes we've been doing it.
I know, but hold on. So can we interpret this as this grant will spur public-private focus so that we can still say that this grant and this Cataract Fund can spur public-private to the tune of maybe 15 to 1.
That's absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely right.
Holy Christ, buddy. You know,
I'll tell you
if I
in a
go to a
minute.
hotel, we get these guys 200 grand. So move it. Does that make you happy?
Yeah, all right, make a motion. Oh, no, wait.
No, I'm moving. That's it now. You just asked a question. All right,
That's a question.
we're good. We're good. Don't talk no more. I make a motion, we do the 204 grand.
All right, I second it.
Mark, do we need to do a roll call?
We should.
Yes,
Okay.
you know,
Right out the door.
normally, normally,
Federal president.
when they discuss the project, if there's a need for discussion, we will go into executive session and ask our guests to leave. If there's no need for any further discussion, as mentioned by Mr. Brown, then we can just move right to a vote.
We don't even know who we're voting for here. I don't care.
Urban Renewal
Can
Agency.
you stay here?
Well, it's the mayor.
Get out of here. You made the motion. Gina, you were allowed to vote? By the way, you allowed to vote.
He's got it.
Abstain.
I'll abstain.
You
You
got it.
guys are votes anyway,
Right,
right?
abstain.
Nice.
I don't know, Vince. I'm thinking about.
It'd be roll call for
Over
vote.
the table.
We have a
second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we need a roll call.
Mark Bonesi.
Yes.
Assemblyman Angelo Morinello.
Yes.
Mayor Robert Rustino.
Abstain.
William Ross.
Yes.
Paul Brown.
Yes.
Andrea Kleizak. Yes. Andrew Dugan. Not sure if we.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Motion passes.
You know money for this?
Thank you.
This
Appreciate it.
Well,
We haven't finished
Yeah,
yet,
well,
Bill.
but the senator has asked like what the return was in terms of jobs and investments. So we're hopeful that once they provide that to whoever,
Would